जय भारत। वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स क्लिप्स बाय आदि अचिंत। जैसे ही आपने मेरे बड़े चैनल जो डेफ टॉक्स बाय आदि है उसको आपने जिस तरह से सपोर्ट करा, उसी तरह से ये हमारे क्लिप्स के चैनल को, जहां पर आपको छोटे छोटे अपडेट्स, छोटे छोटे शॉर्ट्स और छोटी छोटी कहानियां मिलेंगी, इसी को भी सपोर्ट जरूर कीजिएगा। लाइक का बटन जरूर दबाइए, सब्सक्राइब तो ऑब्वियसली करिए, बेल आइकॉन दबाना बिल्कुल मत भूलिएगा। एंड हाँ जी, प्लीज अपने दोस्तों के साथ, फैमिलीज के साथ ये वीडियोस जरूर शेयर करिएगा। एंजॉय करिए ये क्लिप को। जय हिंद। टाइम आई हैव बीन रीडिंग articles today now in from the US, and these are guys. One speech writer from Michael Rubin. I don't know if you know him. He was Barack
Mm.
Obama's speech writer in term one.
Yeah,
I've seen two senators write an article about it and give statements that Balochistan needs to be separate country. They spoke about Gilgit Baltistan and all that stuff, but that's separate. Uh, Although there is a huge protest on there as well, so that's
over
really,
over a month, over a
it's a
month.
real, yeah, it's
Yeah,
a real weird situation that
yeah,
what these guys actually are saying, it's literally happening on the ground. What do
yeah.
you think is the, let me just point blank shoot at you, what do you think is the US interest in this area? I personally have a thing that they want probably a little more freedom in Balochistan so that they could, one, kick the Chinese out and get a base there. Would you agree to a hypothesis like that, sir?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of factors. You would recall some time ago the U.S. ambassador in Pakistan had visited Gwadar.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, it's just not a pleasure visit. It was just to see how
Checking
much
on
the
the
Chinese have
investment.
done. Yeah, yeah. How much the Chinese have done and what are they doing and what is their this thing. So, in principle, there'll be two issues that the U.S. would be interested in. A, the Chinese presence in Gwadar is not for the love of Pakistan. It's
Mm,
basically to develop a port where Chinese submarines and ships can come and ultimately make it into a base.
yeah.
Because when Pakistan can't pay the loans that they owe and the debt that they owe to the Chinese, like they did in the Hambantota in Sri Lanka, same thing they will say Gwadar and they base there. So that is something which the US would find uncomfortable because then you're sitting in the mouth of the Gulf. So all, I think 60% of the world's shipping and oil and things like that is coming out of the Gulf and out of the Middle East. So the US would be uncomfortable with the Chinese naval presence in Gwadar. Number one. Number two, let's not forget that the situation of Iran and what the US relationship with Iran and what the Iranian proxies are doing in the Middle East, and the US would certainly like to have some potential base or some potential area of activity or some pressure point, um, on Iran. Now, in this context, if you see last month, the Iranian, out of the blue, the missile attacks in Panjgur, it was a sort of a signal
Again,
to,
Balochistan.
yeah, a signal to Pakistan that, hey, don't get too chummy with the US because, hum baithe hain,
Ah,
hum bhi baithe hain.
that's an angle.
Yeah. And also, you fire missiles and all that, you break down a couple of mud huts and three poor, innocent, poor Baloch, two women, some children, they die. I mean, come on, give me a break. If they really were serious, they would have targeted something else. Saying this is a Jaish-e-Adal base, it was nowhere near a Jaish-e-Adal base. But it was signaling by Iran,
Wow.
telling Pakistan. Now, Pakistan had no option but to retaliate. So, Pakistan also is a tit for tat, rather than going in for a disproportionate retaliation, they had to retaliate, saying because as the Islamic world's only nuclear power, they could
And
not retaliate. So they also retaliated, but the next day it was Jappi Pappi back again, the ambassadors came back, as if it was sort of a prearranged scrap.
uh,
But damage has been done to the relationship. Pakistan has got that message, what Iran has conveyed. And Iran has told them. So I think the US, coming back to your question, I think the US has a couple of objectives. How far they take it, that's a different story. That'll depend on the evolving situation. But if you look at this whole arc, whether it is the Red Sea, what the Houthis are doing, what the Hamas, Hezbollah, so all this thing is there's a lot of flux, and I think the US would like to put its pieces. somewhere. The problem with Afghanistan is that the US will find it very difficult to recognize Afghanistan, though they're pumping in fair amount of money
Yeah.
in Afghanistan through NGOs and UN organizations. It's quite substantive. It's quite substantive. But till the Taliban get their act together on women's education, I don't think so they will in a hurry, because that's something that unifies the Taliban. And if the Taliban don't want to have any ideological breaks, so it'll take some time. Because if the US could get back into Afghanistan or in some manner or the other, but the Taliban rank and file will not accept it. So what is the next bet? Then it is Pakistan. But then Iran has already warned Pakistan. So the Chinese are keeping quiet on this, but the Chinese also know that the Americans are not very comfortable with Chinese presence in Gwadar. So it's the complexity of.
Uh, how does now coming towards the end before we take the audience questions? How do you think Asim Munir looks at it? Because it's the guy has not had a peaceful day. If I may, started with Imran Khan, and it's just been a riot for him, except for probably the central and northern Punjab, where he can roam around. The rest, the entire country is on fire today. How do
Yeah.
you think he looks at the Baloch issue, knowing what you've just told us?
No, I think there would definitely be. Uh, you see, if you see the statement he made about 2 weeks or 10 days ago, that the life of a single Pakistani is
Yeah.
more important than the whole of Afghanistan. He bashed Iran in that. India, of course, that is par for the course. But picking up on Afghanistan, I got a sense that he was trying to assert himself because he's under pressure, and he's trying to show that he's very much in command and control. Actually, he isn't, because if you take the TTP, the initiative that Maulana Fazlur Rahman going to talking to the Taliban, lay low on election violence or tell the TTP not to do something, and even though they have pushed back or in the process of pushing back 1.7 million Afghan undocumented people from Pakistan, the Taliban are not relenting. They For them, it's easy to absorb the pressure. I think one of the former ISI chiefs, as I mentioned, had said that when is the last time the Afghans succumbed to pressure? So for all these things which are happening to Asim Munir, I think he was just trying to fly off the handle and tell people that he's very much in control. Actually,
Still
he's
in
not in
control.
control. He's not in control because even politically, the fact that they've gone in for an overkill on Imran Khan. 10 years in one case, 14 years in another case, now 7 years in that case, and people are saying, "Come on, yeah, give the man a break. It's a personal life, whatever it is. Why are you going after him?" Then I think this Al Qadir Trust is also going to be there. Then this Balingana thing also is going to be there. So he's obviously under a lot of pressure, and he's
It's
not sure, that Nawaz Sharif will play ball. Because Nawaz Sharif gets an itch every 2.5, 3 years if you look at his past history.
जाने से पहले मैं 1 मिनट के लिए आपको रोक लूं, तो प्लीज ये चैनल को लाइक जरूर करिएगा, सब्सक्राइब करिएगा, और हाँ, हमारे जो मेन चैनल को जरूर जरूर अपनी फॉलोशिप दीजिए, ताकि हम आपको अच्छे अच्छे पॉडकास्ट, इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट्स एंड जियोपॉलिटिकल अपडेट से आपके सामने प्रेजेंट करते रहें इसी तरह से। थैंक यू सो मच। जय हिंद, जय भारत।